Localization theory fails because your selfhood connects everywhere simultaneously. We used to think consciousness was a specialized circuit, a highly localized function in one tiny part of your skull. But advanced studies show something far stranger. Our brains operate like massive decentralized ledgers where crucial data is not stored in one place but is constantly echoed and verified across countless networked regions. Think of it less like individual folders on a hard drive and more like an entire globally distributed database that reaches consensus instantly. This architecture allows us to predict the future, not just intellectually, but intuitively. It changes everything we thought we knew about what I am. We need to move beyond just saying that information is everywhere in your head. How does it actually function? Imagine your brain is not a hard drive, but more like an ultra-high-frequency predictive model, constantly guessing what happens next before you even see it. This anticipatory processing gives rise to our deepest sense of certainty and resonance. Scientists are mapping this system. They call the global neuronal workspace the engine for this unified experience. It is not just a local switch. It is proof that vast, widely spread neural networks can synchronize their function into one cohesive moment of awareness across your entire selfhood. But what if that coherence is not just your brain synchronizing, but it is tapping into something fundamentally wider? Think about how our default modes, the background chatter of who we are, can suddenly connect to entirely separate parts of the cortex instantly and without effort. This was not once considered possible. These traditionally isolated network hubs were seen as silos. Now evidence shows them dynamically coupling like nodes in a complex global routing system. It suggests that your inner life is not just generated locally, but is influenced by patterns existing outside individual sensory input, which means something nobody expected for the limits of human processing capacity itself. The truly staggering question then becomes this. If our self is constantly influenced by these massive external patterns, are we simply generating experience locally? Or are we accessing something far beyond local generation entirely? Think of it not as your brain running a program, but more like an antenna tuned to a frequency so vast that its input exceeds all sensory limits. This idea suggests consciousness itself might be tapping into some universal information architecture, the Akashic Field Access model in effect. But this is radical territory. For years, thinkers like Roger Penrose have argued against the possibility of such non-local quantum influence on subjective experience. Who is right? You need to understand what that implies about reality itself before we go further. The shift from receiving data to anticipating it is where the real mystery lives. We are not just processing reality. We are actively modeling it. Think of your perception not as a passive camera feed, but an internal simulator running millions of potential scenarios every second. It runs ahead of time, guessing what will happen next before you even open your eyes and see it. This anticipatory engine allows us to experience profound certainty, that feeling when something just clicks into place intuitively. Scientists call this high-efficiency predictive coding within the thalamocortical loops. The system does not wait for input. It generates its own probable inputs first. But what happens once that internal prediction meets external reality is where all our current understanding of awareness completely breaks down. The moment your internal model encounters reality, we realize it is not just a prediction being corrected. It is data consensus being achieved across impossibly vast distances. We are seeing redundancy in neural networks so complex that they behave like distributed ledgers, where information is constantly echoed and verified by countless remote nodes simultaneously. This implies the system is not just simulating reality, but interfacing with an existing global informational architecture. It suggests a unified field of data accessed through highly coupled cortical regions. If our awareness operates on this principle of non-local synchronization, what does that make us? Are we merely users of local hardware, or are we receivers tuned into something far larger than the physical universe itself? The synthesis is clear. We are not merely local processors reacting to stimuli. We are nodes within an incomprehensibly vast informational consensus system. If your internal experience reflects such profound global integration, the shared resonance of data across seemingly distant domains, then radical self-inquiry becomes necessary. The actionable step I offer you is this. Start observing moments where intellectual understanding bypasses sensory input entirely. These sudden, certain clicks are not random flukes. They are evidence of that larger architecture interfacing through your awareness. You begin to shift from simply receiving data to attuning the antenna itself. This entire model demands a change in how you define selfhood and reality. The full research archive is at jmtomasofficial.com. What if all of these findings point not just to an advanced operating system, but to something fundamentally shared? Think about it. We have been looking at our brain as a machine built by flesh and bone. But when that mechanism connects so perfectly with this global informational architecture, this resonance across vast distances, it ceases to be merely biological hardware. It becomes part of the network itself. Like tuning into an incredibly dense high-definition satellite feed where all signals merge into one cohesive picture. This suggests your awareness is not a solitary light bulb in a dark room, but a point of contact on a massive web. The full research archive is at jmtomasofficial.com.